The Danish Gambit is designed for brave players. Most of the time, they find themselves winning their games in the opening. In this video, we'll look at a variety of opening traps and some mistakes that your opponent might make when confronted with this opening. The starting position we will examine appears after the following moves, after we offer up to 2 pawns to black. Of course, he doesn't have to take everything, but for now, we will focus on this position because it occurs more often and contains many tactical opportunities. But before that, a brief comment about this position. We can clearly see that even though white is 2 pawns down, he's clearly ahead in terms of piece activity. The 2 bishops operate fully on their diagonals and make it difficult for black to develop his kingside pieces freely. For instance, the f8 bishop cannot easily leave his starting position because of the pressure exerted on g7. For this reason, he may consider bishop b4 check, developing his bishop with tempo. We play knight c3, but knight bd2 is equally playable. We will examine some options. Early aggression by black with a move like queen g4 cannot be recommended because of his obvious lag in development. We gain a tempo by attacking the queen, and when black takes on g2, we gain another one by bringing our rook into the game. We deliver the first blow with bishop takes f7 check. Black can't take in view of the royal fork, so the king moves to f8, but we have an overwhelming advantage due to black's exposed king and our big lead in development. Black can choose sensible development with knight f6. We play knight ge2, and when black takes on e4, we castle. After exchanging on c3 and castling, black may dream about king safety, but after knight d5 attacking the bishop, he's nearly lost. To prove that, we will look at the possible bishop moves. After bishop e7, we take on e7 and threaten mate with queen g4. And when black defends, we win with queen d4 with unstoppable checkmate on g7 or h8 next. Bishop d6 leads to a similar story. After g6, we once again move our queen to d4. Black has no choice but to play f6, but this opens the diagonal for our light-squared bishop. We follow with knight takes f6 double check, and the king will be checkmated soon. f6 has the same drawback, and after this simple sequence, we arrive at another nice checkmating pattern. After bishop c5, we routinely play queen g4, and again f6 and g6 are black's 2 defenses. f6 leads to the same checkmate we saw a moment ago. g6 critically weakens dark squares around the king. After knight f6 check and king h8, we play queen h4, threatening mate on h7. h5 only move, knight takes h5 discovered check, and finally checkmate on h7. Back to the starting position. We already saw previously that an early queen sortie with queen g4 will not go well for black, but it does no harm to check it in his particular position. After knight f3 and rook g1, if white moves the queen, we employ the same tactical strike with bishop takes f7, king d8, and the nice rook takes g7. After bishop takes and bishop takes, we will be a piece up for 1 pawn after taking the rook in the corner. White is clearly better here. Black can incorporate bishop b4 check. The surprising king e2 is the best move. Black has to move his queen, and you've got the trick by now. Bishop takes f7 check. Black can never take this bishop, and the king has to move away. We take on g7, and after knight e7, a rare and cool mating pattern arrives after knight g5 and knight e6 checkmate. Simply beautiful. Black must emphasize development. Knight f6 doesn't look appealing in view of e5, bishop takes f7 check, and queen d5 check, taking the piece back and disallowing black to castle. So he may prepare the move by first playing d6, controlling e5. After knight f3, e5 is always possible, and after black takes, we exchange queens and grab the e5 pawn. The imminent knight jump on f7 gives us the edge. Bishop g4 is a mistake due to the classic bishop takes f7, and after king takes, we seize the opportunity to play knight e5 check, exploiting the undefended queen on d8. We grab the bishop back, and black's inability to castle ensure us the advantage. The restrained bishop e6 doesn't help because we exchange on e6 and jump with the knight on g5, attacking e6 twice and forcing black to defend it by moving his king. We have the advantage here also. Black can develop his 2 knights in turn with knight c6 and knight f6. But that lets us push our pawn to e5, and after knight e4, our favorite move bishop takes f7 check, followed by queen d5, regaining the knight and leaving the king in the center for the rest of the game. There are obviously many options left for black, but we will cover them in another video.